Welcome to Nolan Knows, and now, the news. Toy weapons have been banned from a Pennsylvania arts festival. They said it's just such violent times. Especially violent times, really? But violent crime is down. For instance, in New York City, which had about 25 homicides back in 1990, they only had 328 homicides in 2014. Dr. John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime, discovered that 1 million times or more a year a potential victim brandishes a gun and repels an assailant, usually without even firing a shot. Let's make the bad guy, and not the tool that we use to repel him. Need help from the I.R.S? Well, you may need more patience this year. The perfect time to rid ourselves of this cumbersome tax on productivity. Go to the fair tax and eliminate the thousands of anti-savings, anti-wealth building regulations and spread the tax burden to the underground economy. This income tax is too complex, too complicated, and needs to be gotten rid of. CNN had a piece in the news about sex talk and tech talk because kids are being exposed to sex on the internet. So they want to replace the sex talk with the tech talk. Hey, it's a parent's job to explain the ins and outs of sex, and if you don't want to let them, your kids, discover this on the interwebs, try putting the computer in the family room where they can log on only while you're with them. After all, you wouldn't let your kids wander around downtown New York City unescorted. Why would you let them wander all around the entire world unescorted? Best message you can send them is that they can comfortably ask you about anything without fear. Teach them to communicate with you. That'll make things a lot easier for you and them. The F.B.I. says John Boehner's Westchester bartender planned to poison him. Ebola, evil voices, and the devil, it's just a bartender that needs a checkup from the neck up. No big story there. He's off the streets now. The Senate is supposed to vote on whether or not climate change is happening, part of the XL pipeline deal. Avowed socialist Senator Sanders actually wants a vote on whether, quote, climate change is impacting the planet and is worsened by human-caused greenhouse gas emissions. There is climate change, and there has been for millions of years. It does impact the planet. Is it a danger? Is it man-made? I'd say no. The last 18 years, temperatures have been flat, if not trending down. So I don't think it's a real problem. Charlie Hebdo, the satirical magazine, has returned to the newsstands. It's in high demand. I don't understand it. Why? Really, why? Why would you buy one? What would you do with your copy? It's not rare. It's not a literary work from the Bard. It's just a satirical magazine of poor taste. And they're printing millions of it. It'll be worth less than you can imagine in just a short time. It's time for Mist in the Media. The Republicans are thinking about fixing Obamacare. This is not a particularly good idea. One of the things, for instance, they want to tamper with is the medical device tax. Now, I understand what's wrong with the medical device tax, and it is a tax that is negatively impacting that trade. But if the Republicans get involved in fixing Obamacare at all, it becomes partly their bill. They have their fingerprints on it. But there's more. If they do that, if they eliminate that source of income to cover the cost of Obamacare, we then add to that $18 trillion plus debt that the nation is running. I don't think the Republicans should do that either. They also are looking at the 30-hour work week, thinking that they can put people back on a 40-hour work week if they simply eliminate that part of Obamacare. But again, that makes it a bipartisan bill, easier for the Democrats to hide behind that it's bipartisan. And at the same time, there may be some negative effect on 40-hour workers who could just lose an hour of work and their health care. No, what the Republicans need to do is keep away from it. Let the dust settle where it may. Wait for Halbig v. Burwell, because that's going to collapse the system anyway, and then come up with a free market health care solution that will drive down costs and make health care more affordable. This is going to help them a great deal in the national elections in 2 years. Obama mania. Well, President Obama is easing restrictions been around since about 1961, on traveling to Cuba. He's also going to open communication with Cuba. He's going to allow some trade with Cuba. And I find myself in a very difficult position because I agree with him. This bothers me. It bothers me because I'm not used to agreeing with him. When I think about it, I wonder, what's wrong? Is it me? Have I thought something out poorly? Have I made a mistake? How could I possibly agree with this guy? He's never right. Well, this time, I'm afraid he is right. Since 1961, we've had the embargo, and we've made it difficult for Americans to travel there. Not impossible, you understand. You can go into Canada and then take a plane and fly down there. It just costs you more money, but you can get down there. The problem here is that Fidel Castro and now his brother Raul have been telling Cubans for decades the reason you're living in abject poverty is the United States. They've been embargoing us. They've been making life miserable for you. They're the reason. Well, now Cubans, they won't have to hear that anymore. And the Castro brothers, they can't hide behind that anymore. The truth will be really clear to them that the reason they're living in abject poverty is because communism sucks. It fails. It hasn't worked anywhere. It didn't work in Russia, it's not working in China, and it's not working in Cuba. So, in spite of my reservations about having to admit this, I agree with President Obama. Open up trade, ease restrictions on travel, let the Cubans mix and mingle with people who can actually make money, and maybe they'll want to make money too. That could be the end of communism in Cuba in the long run. It's a good idea. It's time for If They Were Here. This week's If They Were Here is Pope Francis. I'm a Catholic and I want to respect and honor the Pope. I want to believe that he's doing what's best for the world all the time. But frankly, I got to be careful here. I don't want to get hit by a bolt of lightning. I think the Pope has missed the mark a couple times. Here's where I think he's gone wrong. 3 topics. One of them is freedom of speech, the other one an economic issue, and the third one is global warming. Instead of tending to the flock, making sure everybody's going to confession and communion, talking about God and love and heaven and hell, he's gone off and started talking about economics. He's trying to convince us that chasing the almighty dollar is evil. Well, I don't think God would think so. In order for me to make more money, I have to do more work. I might have to hire more people. That puts people to work. That gives people an opportunity to feed the flock, if you will. Maybe even have a few dollars left over to put in the basket on Sunday. So I think the Pope has made a mistake here. I think he probably doesn't understand basic economics. He also talked this week about religion, and not in the way that you would expect the Pope to talk about religion. He implied that you shouldn't say or can't say anything bad about religion. Well, somebody else's religion anyway. Well, you know, religion is a tender subject. It is something that people tend to react badly to when you attack their religion. The fact is, it ought not be illegal, as the Pope implied. It's in poor taste, and I would admonish you not to do it. Not in a bar, not in a restaurant, not with your friends. Don't attack their religion. But it ought not be illegal. I think he's wrong. He also got into global warming. He's afraid that the Earth is going to be destroyed by global warming, when in fact, satellite temperatures indicate the Earth has been cooling, if not flat, for the last 18 years. He's not an environmental scientist. If he wants to look up and talk about something, it should be God.